coming to you raw and unscripted. Beaming across Ontario and beyond.
To places like Norwood, Don Mills, Lucknow, and Madoc.
This is the Real Hickson Real Estate Podcast. Whether you're listening on your commute or putting on your suit, whether it's your morning stroll or you're on patrol, you just finished prayer or dropped the kids at daycare, you're in the bar, your car, or listening with the bathroom door ajar, near or far, this is the Jess and Giro Show. We're grateful for flattery and prone to inaccuracies. This is your guide to Toronto culture, people, events, news, but most importantly, real estate talk.
Yes, hello folks.
Hello.
Here we are. Election day has come and gone.
That's how we're going to start this.
The polarizing topic that is the election of the US.
This is a real estate podcast
now,
in Canada.
This is a real estate podcast in Canada. But the only reason we have to care about them is because it does affect us.
Of course. But are we the news source for this?
No, we are not. Just a disclaimer, we're not going to get political on here. It's a polarizing topic. Everyone has their own opinions. And we only need to talk about it just because it affects us a little bit and our economy and stuff like that. But other than that, we're here for you and you only.
And today is not necessarily about that. Today is Express.
Today is Express advice for Q4. Thanks for the segue, Jess.
Ba-ba-ba-ba.
You're getting more excited about this every time we do a podcast.
How many years has it been now?
You were so apprehensive at the start. Here you are blossoming into this fantastic, perfect podcaster with the velvet tones. Sound great.
Okay. Thank you so much. I'm just excited because it's almost the end of the year.
Almost the end of the year.
And I love the Christmas season.
We love the Christmas
holiday
season.
Yes.
Holiday
season.
Positivity and love and family and all those good things. Okay, so today we don't have a concept other than we're looking at the last quarter of the year.
Wrapping things up.
Yeah, we're wrapping things up. We will have one more podcast in December to see how the next little bit goes. The next month is going to be interesting to look at the real estate market.
Yeah.
Because it's traditionally the last kind of push before the holiday season.
Mm-hmm. One more rate drop before that.
Yes, rate dropping aplenty.
Mm-hmm.
There's rates dropping like the snow falling out of the sky.
I thought you were gonna say something else.
What do you think?
No, it doesn't.
You could say it out loud.
No.
Please share with our listeners what you were thinking, Jess.
No.
Your stream of consciousness.
NSW.
Not safe for work.
Yeah.
That's the acronym. Yeah. Okay, well, maybe you and I can chat about this privately afterwards. Okay, so we're just going to go through. We're going to do renters, landlords, first-time home buyers, the upgraders, the investors, and the downsizers, and everyone in between. I think
that covers everybody. Unless you're just staying still.
Unless you're just on the sidelines and not going to do anything.
Yeah.
But it pretty much covers everyone. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're going to start with the renters. Now, the rental market's interesting. We saw peaks for prices over the last 6 months to a year. Last summer was crazy. This summer was still very busy as well. And now looking back in retrospect, that's kind of the peak. But now, as we naturally move towards the holidays, we're seeing a drop-off in activity. Hopefully you guys can hear Alfie's pause in the background. That's iconic, classic throwback.
Yeah,
Alfie.
Always little.
Thanks, Alfie. So yeah, both for freehold. I always like to split it up. Houses and condos. We're seeing the same kind of trends. Everything's peaked in the summer, which makes sense to me. That's like a pretty traditional market, and now we have everything pattering off for the end of the year. Petering. Well, pattering's like dip, 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 dip. It's like it's leaving us.
Sure.
Doesn't that make sense?
Yep.
So yeah, we're seeing actually prices drop. So for the tenant, I mean, now is a fantastic time to be looking. The listings are still out, relatively, and landlords want to kind of rent before the end of the year. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you have to move in the winter months, but
yeah.
It's okay. To save some money.
I know. I mean, look, you might get some time off around the holidays anyways. So doesn't that make sense to move? Isn't that the best? Move?
Yeah, and then you can start the new year in a new place.
Makes sense to me. 2 bedrooms, at least, in the GTA are much less competitive. The entry-level condos, like the cheapest 1 bedrooms, are going to be obviously the most competitive, as they usually are. There's still a lot of people like looking for their first place, whatever. We still have immigrants coming in, some students. But in terms of 2 bedrooms, and then moving out further to the GTA, and also like the rural areas, getting closer to the lakes, we have a lot of activity dropping off there. So really good time if you're a tenant to take advantage of that. For landlords, it's obviously the reverse of this. If you still have a 1 bedroom you wanted to lease out, you're going to do pretty well. I mean, the prices have definitely equalized, and in some time, depending on what you have and where you have it, it may be dropping a little bit. But generally, 1 bedrooms are pretty safe. If you can avoid it, if you were thinking of renting it, hey, I'm going to rent it, I'm going to put it out listed in December. Maybe if you can wait till spring, that's probably the best advice.
Yeah, but that's not always the case.
No, not always the case. Whatever position you're in, hey, if it's sitting there vacant and you need to get it rented, then obviously get it rented. I guess the only pro is that there will be naturally less listings around the holidays. So maybe yours stands out. And if there's enough people still looking, then you could rent it. I mean, January 1st is a massive move date. Usually, traditionally.
Yeah, it can be, yeah.
Can be. But yeah, as I said, if you can wait, maybe wait. It'll pan out better. I think just naturally, the students coming back to study.
Yeah.
But that is a big thing now. That they have, but the new rules limiting the international students, how much they can work, et cetera, it seems to be having an effect.
Yeah.
On the market.
Definitely.
And
especially in certain areas.
Yeah, especially in certain neighborhoods, especially, kind of surrounding universities and stuff like that. We are seeing changes there. So moving on to sales now. So talking about the election, all we really care about is how will the new administration change Canada in terms of its economy, the kinds of people that are now coming here or no longer coming here, et cetera, et cetera. It's going to affect a few different things. I think more than anything, people were just uncertain.
Yes.
And
people don't like to make big decisions in uncertain times.
Yes, exactly. And people just wanted to see, okay, what is the result going to be?
Yeah.
We now have that result, for better or for worse. So, depending on that person that got in, what they've said they're going to do, and the sentiment, and obviously that drives a lot of the markets, and then what they actually do.
Yeah.
Across the board, politicians, whoever you vote for, that's always the issue. Is they say they're going to do something and they do it or they don't do it.
And how quickly it gets
and how quickly we implement it. So it's kind of like a wait and see attitude.
Yeah, but positive stuff happening in the stock markets.
Yeah, so cryptocurrency is blowing up right now as we speak. The stock market, and I think it's a lot to do with this uncertainty factor.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how it shows itself in the real estate market.
Yeah. Now, will it create more positivity in the real estate market? More negativity? I think it's a small factor. It's still a factor, but it's a small factor.
Here.
Yeah.
But our neighbors to the south do really affect us.
They do. A lot of, dual economy there. Yeah. Imports and exports, and as well as like immigration. Like if they change their immigration policy, it'll be interesting to see how we manage that, and how, if the current administration here in Canada changes things, whether that be at a federal level, a provincial level, or even a kind of municipal level. So it's a lot of wait and see. Jessica, what do you think?
I'm hoping it makes some good improvements. I'm
Yeah.
trying to stay positive.
You're trying to stay neutral?
Yes.
We're Switzerland?
With a hope for a better future.
Yeah, we always hope for a better future. Always. Okay, so in terms of sales, first-time home buyers. Now, we have seen an increase in activity. The last month, it's really jumped. And I like to compare it month to month more or less than year over year, which a lot of people like to compare year over year. It is becoming more relevant year over year because this time last year was a really sad, slow market. This year, a lot of things are changing.
Yes.
This whole uncertainty thing, the economy is a big question mark, the cost of living, all of these topics are up for debate. And amidst all that, now we have these rate drops. We're still dropping, and it's a good thing. And inflation is, under control as per se. They're trying to stick the landing now.
Yeah.
As per the BOC. So we will see how that affects things. But if you're a first-time home buyer, listen, this could be... I've been saying it all year. Like, I've been saying it since... Yeah, I've been kind of saying it all year. Like, you know, we did have that peak of activity in February, April, March. It was more like houses.
February, April, March.
So is that what I went to? Yeah, but it's just the wrong order. But you get the idea.
Okay.
A lot of thoughts moving around in my head now, Jess. And we did see that peak. It was more for houses rather than condos.
Yes.
And now, of course, not everyone's first home is going to be a condo.
Yeah.
But that's, you know, the most...
Generally speaking.
Yeah, the most likely
in the
market.
GTA.
Yeah. So we've seen a pretty soft market on condos for the most part, like all year. But like, actually, if you look at year over year or even like 2 or 3 years, the prices haven't gone down that crazy.
No.
Like, they've definitely gone down.
Yeah.
And this bubble never burst. And you know what? Go back to all our old podcasts. We've always said the bubble's never going to burst. It's never going to burst.
Yeah.
It's gonna slowly deflate. But all it takes...
The air came out of the tires.
That's right. That's right. But all it's going to take is a fresh breath into the market, and this thing could blow up.
Yeah.
Now, how fast it blows up, when it blows up, that's the two major questions.
If we only knew.
Yes, I know. Well, that's what we all say about the crystal ball.
Yes.
A lot of people are saying spring. Now, we were saying fall, tentatively.
Yeah.
The
the rate drops didn't do what was expected.
Yes. It's true.
Significant rate drops didn't make a significant impact on the sales.
Now, that was, you know, one scenario of like, oh, it's going to blow up again. The other scenario was one smart agent in the office said, well, if they see one rate drop, let's wait for another one.
Yeah.
And let's wait for another one. And let's wait for another one. And that's pretty much how it goes. That makes sense to me. However, at some point, there's going to be this equilibrium of like, let's get off the sidelines.
Yeah.
And they already have started to get off the sidelines kind of in the last month. Like the activity's really picked up.
Yeah. And the amount of listings have gone down, so there's less choice.
Yes. So we've seen, you know, this week in particular, the last 2 weeks in particular, a huge drop off in listings. Now, this can mean two things. Naturally, people have stopped listing their homes. So everything that's come out, everyone that planned to list their home this year, they've listed it, and that's it. Also, mingled in with the statistic is relists.
Yes.
So the relist it kind of does skew the activity, the data a little bit. So we have to be mindful of it.
Of new listings, actually.
Yeah. And so if we saw a lot of like new listings throughout the year, it's not necessarily that they are actual new listings. It could be that someone's dropped the price and they've relisted it.
Yeah.
Per se.
It's not a brand new listing.
So what's my point here? Well, I think a lot of these properties have reached their pain point. They've dropped the price to a point where like, I can't sell it for any less.
Yeah.
And I'm noticing the activity picking up as a seller. Things are getting more positive. Now the elections are passed. Things are more set in stone. Yeah. And now we're aware of, you know.
And if I don't sell it today, I'll sell it in the new year.
Yeah. So now we're hitting a point of, okay, that's the inventory. Now what do we need on the other side? We need the buyers to maintain that activity or drop off naturally for the holidays.
Which there it will be just naturally less activity in the last couple of weeks of December.
Yeah.
But if you're smart, it's a great time to jump in.
So really, the main takeaway here is we're faced with two scenarios, Jess. Two possible scenarios. And both scenarios have happened in the last 5 years. So they're very, very possible in either way. The first scenario is traditional market. Okay, the holidays are here. Everyone wants to chill out. All the buyers are chill. They're going to enjoy their time with their family, etc., etc. All the people that are selling, maybe they want to take it off the market or just leave it and see what happens. And then, so the activity is just going to drop off over Christmas. It'll pick up in the new year. Yeah. Now, the second scenario is, and this happened two years ago, and we're in a similar scenario now where we had a delay. This was the pandemic, actually, as well. In 2020, this happened, where we had this massive drop off around the pandemic, okay? March, April. It did pick up, and you know what happened? The summer market was pretty busy. The fall market was really solid. And the fall market continued straight over the Christmas break into December, January, February, March, and we saw the 2021, which led to the 2022 peaks. That has happened before. It's potential to happen again. Now, as we know, the spring market every year is getting a little bit earlier and earlier.
Yeah. I think the spring market starts at the end of January.
Yeah, pretty much. People come back from wherever, all the sunny destinations.
Yeah, that's what it seems like to me.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And as well, as I've said in previous podcasts, January 1st, the checkbooks balance, whether your corporations, businesses, etc., the investors are out looking
back with their
for
cash.
these properties. They're back with the cash. They got the new budget for the year.
Yeah.
So that's what's going to happen. Now, the new rules that have come in the last couple of years with the restricting investors, et cetera, that'll be interesting to see whether we have an effect and if we can reproduce the same results.
But there are some new changes happening starting December 15th, which will impact buyers as well.
Yes, we've talked about it on social media, and that is just easier guidelines for insured mortgages. And essentially, long story short, you can buy a more expensive property and put less down, essentially.
Giving you more freedom.
Yeah. Now, of course, we, in the last couple of years as well, have these, first-time homebuyer incentives with your RSPs and your first-time homebuyer account, like savings account.
Yes.
Now, what happens is the end of the financial year, December 31st. Okay? And you get your bonuses at the end of the year, yada, yada. You put in that kind of money. You now have leveraged that and alleviated that to use in 2025.
Yeah.
So when you go to file your taxes, you were able to now use that money and utilize those incentives.
Yeah.
Essentially. So we could see a push that would make sense for the first-time home buyers to see that push in kind of January, February. So all this to say, we could have a very, very busy spring.
Let's hope.
Let's hope. I think, I've said it before, we don't want these not-so markets.
No.
We don't want these crazy, crazy markets where, yes, it's fantastic on the selling side. Great. But when you go to buy something, you're in the same market and you're competing. Yeah. And you're settling because you can't get exactly what you want.
Yeah, we like a balanced market.
We want a balanced market.
We're a balanced team. Emotionally,
metaphysically, we're balanced.
And we like balance. It's good for everybody.
Yeah, we're a little... Now, I love to post these like infographics. I think pictures paint 1,000 words. I'm a visual learner. I like visual things. And it's one thing to just look at numbers. But every month when I'm posting these stats in my newsletter, by the way, plug, and on my Instagram and all the social medias, I show you like a little bar, and it shows you like left for buyers and right for sellers where the little arrow is, and it's shifting more towards the center.
Yeah, which is good for everybody.
That's great, fantastic.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at for the first-time home buyers. Please don't wait. But it makes sense if you wanted to utilize those incentives for the new year. Absolutely makes sense. Now, the upgraders are relatively in the same boat. You had a problem before, most likely, obviously depending on your property, where you're selling. You had a problem before actually selling in the first place to be able to move to the next step. And as I said before, I've said it many times, if what you're buying is more expensive relatively than what you're selling, then it makes sense in these kind of markets, the buyer-friendly markets, to do that upgrade.
Yeah, you might get a discount on the buy.
Yeah.
You might take a hit on your sale, but you get a better opportunity on your buy.
Yeah, and the big problem before was that you weren't able to sell, especially if you've got a condo in that kind of softer market. But now the activity's picked up for those, for condos included. So there could be, let's say, a little sweet spot of like you were able to sell rather, and
you still could jump on.
You take like a 2-month or even a 3-month closing, and now we're talking like kind of January, February, when we're going to see like these more rate drops, and depending on whether you're porting your mortgage or whether you're doing a blended rate, et cetera, you could be taking advantage of these new interest rates.
Yeah. Ask us how.
And, I don't think what a lot of people think about, if you're not coming up for mortgage renewal, there could be a penalty to pay if you were to sell before that kind of maturity date for that term.
Yeah.
So keep in mind, variables are a little bit easier to break, but fixed rates, especially when there's drastic changes in interest rates, you can be looking at some penalties. But if you do the math, we'll help you do the math and be like, okay, $10,000 for a penalty break, for example, isn't great. However, if you're saving like $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 on the buy side, and now you're getting a cheaper rate, it makes sense.
In the long run.
It makes sense. Even, by the way, even if you don't even want to move and you just want to renew your mortgage.
Yeah. If you took a 6.5% interest rate 2 years ago, and now you could get low fours, it may make sense over time. Over the lifetime of the loan, it could be worth it.
And this is kind of the information we're getting from our favorite mortgage people. Is this is what people are doing, calling up.
It makes sense.
Hey, maybe it makes sense.
Yeah, it could.
So, of course, if you wanted us to refer you, you know who our favorite people are, but just as a refresher, you can always hit us up, email us, or message us, whatever you need to do. And we can kind of put you in touch with them. So that's pretty much it for upgraders. I've put here, spring market could be bonkers.
Okay.
I love that term. Do Canadians understand that term, bonkers?
Yeah.
Yeah, you get it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to be throwing out all these colloquial terms that people don't understand what I'm talking about. Okay, if we go to move on to the new build and new construction, we're going to look at the bad and the good for this. Okay? So the bad, and we've talked about this before, but we're pretty much in the same scenario. Some projects are being delayed and or cancelled. Now, this can be from pre-construction condos to even townhouses and builder homes, that kind of thing. So that's the downside. We've talked about appraisals for some of this pre-construction coming in lower. I mean, this is more of a problem for people that bought in the peak and are now coming up. And we've talked about assignments, which is where you, the buyer, now take that piece of paper off their hands because you might be in a better situation than they are to close. We are seeing like quite large discounts on this pre-construction assignments, etc. Like quite a lot.
Just so people can get out.
Before people were just trying to break even. Now they're taking a loss. So we have some fantastic opportunities. Of course, these things come with risks as well, and it's something worth talking about and looking into on a case-by-case basis. Of course, anything we do is referring to a lawyer and reviewing with a lawyer as well.
And an accountant.
In order to position yourself correctly for that. If you make sense of it and you do the numbers and it looks good, then I think that's a fantastic option.
Yeah. Or there's a lot of builders that are offering great incentives to buy new construction. Reduced mortgage rates.
That's crazy because I was about to segue to the good.
Oh, sorry. We're just on the same
wavelength.
Yeah.
But this is what I'm going to say. I have a lot written, ALOT, big capital letters.
Yes.
Okay. A lot of incentives right now.
Yeah.
Now we're talking, obviously large reductions off the prices. They give you credit cards or whatever, gift cards to spend on decor, upgrades in the home, a number of things.
Yeah, and a lot of builders are doing their own interest rates.
Yes.
Specifically.
Now, this is a little bit more complicated, and of course, something you'd have to go through the lawyer,
with the builder,
et cetera. But what they're saying is, let's say you close in a year or 2 years. They're saying you can get a guaranteed mortgage rate through the builder.
Yeah.
For let's throw a number at 2.8 or something.
Yeah.
Quite incentivized.
Yeah, but we don't know the details of it. So obviously each builder would do it differently, and you have to
qualify,
every project's different. But it shows that they're trying to get things sold.
Yes. Now, what is the risk of all this? Well, the risk, of course, is that it's delayed or canceled or something like that. But if you have money and you either can't get a mortgage or you don't want to get a mortgage, this could be a good option for you.
Yeah, eventually.
Because you just find the piece of paper, whatever you have to put down, you can look at the payment schedule and see how that looks, whether you can manage it. But, taking advantage of a really soft market. That's probably the softest market.
Yeah,
Wouldn't you agree?
I think so.
Pre-construction and new construction?
Yeah, especially pre-construction condos.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, we're always recommending. I mean, I've rarely recommended pre-construction in the past.
Mm-hmm, because it was crazy.
It was crazy. We were seeing, to put it in perspective, we were seeing in the peak, like, resale for condos, for example, like 1,200 a square foot, okay? Mm-hmm. That was, like, a good average. Now, the new construction projects that were coming out at that time, and we're talking, like, the peak 2022 in early spring, we were seeing, like, 1,400 a square foot, 1,600 a square foot.
Yeah.
Now, how is this still affordable? Well, the square footage price is what it is, but you were looking at 350 square foot condos, tiny. 400 square foot condos. Yeah. Now, sure, I always like to look at future markets, like the big cities of the world, Tokyo and Beijing, places where they have high density, and and even New York for that matter.
Yeah, for sure.
And you are getting small units, and like, will people live there? Like, if the supply and demand,
if they have no choice.
Yeah. So it's not too crazy. Is it crazy for you and I? Like, sure. Who the heck can live in a 350 square foot place?
But it's an investment.
It's an investment. That's the thing.
Most people weren't buying those to live in themselves.
Yeah. So, that's the only reason it was affordable. Now we're back to like, 1,400 square foot. We're coming all the way back down. Resale for context, we're like, you're lucky to get like 1,100.
Yeah.
You're talking like 1,000, depending on where in the GTA.
Yeah.
Some areas like 900 a square foot.
Yeah.
Obviously, the bigger units are going to be a little bit lower in square footage, and the smaller studios and one bedrooms are going to be a bit more in price per square foot.
Yeah.
So,
but if you're thinking about your future and you don't need something for today, it might make sense 4 years down the line. But always choose a reputable builder and get it reviewed by a lawyer. Everything.
Yeah. I'm going to use a really wacky kind of analogy here. But just like some people, parents and grandparents, are proactively creating email addresses for their future children to use so they don't run out of names.
Yeah.
That's the same kind of concept as like, hey, maybe the grandparents can buy the future child like a pre-construction condo and rent it out until they're ready to live in it themselves, or like, this is just the great transfer of wealth.
Yes.
It's tough. We all know it's tough out there. Relatively speaking, salaries have not come up the same way that prices, even though the prices have come down in the last couple of years, it's still high.
Yeah.
And everyone wants to live in the same place, or the majority of people, and that's kind of why we're still here. And that will continue to be, unless they just like, I don't know, turn Barrie or something into like a major metropolis.
Yeah.
Who knows? It could. The Aurelia project, they're talking about the Aurelia project, but until we create these like welcoming, massive major cities.
Yeah.
And of course, we've got big cities around Canada, but they're not major, in my opinion.
Toronto is.
Toronto will always be the one.
And surrounding areas.
Yeah, and the pandemic, it showed us it's like an anomaly. That was the anomaly if people wanted to move out and have cheaper living. But the reality is all the work's here and they expect you to be here, et cetera, et cetera. But
you always come back home.
You always come back. So that's where we're at. That's where we are at. Plenty of opportunities out there. This kind of covers the investors as well. Obviously, whether you wanted to buy these kinds of things for yourself or your child, or you're just an investor, you have a primary property and you're looking to get into the market a little bit more. That's pretty much what you're looking at. Now, of course, these are not simple conversations. Please reach out to us, and I'll just drop it here, hicksonrealestateteam@gmail.com, or DM us on the socials at Hickson Real Estate. We'll move on to the downsizers. These are the last ones. And I guess this kind of all ties in.
Yeah.
Because you just have money sitting there, or like you have downsized and you have money and you're thinking, what can I do with the money? Well, I can't take it with me. Try and help the kids out, or the grandkids, et cetera, et cetera. But if you're looking at retirement, looking at the next step and the next stage, it really depends on what you want to do with the money. This is a huge, profound choice, and everyone's going to be a little bit different. Some people can't see themselves in a condo. Some people can't wait to be in a condo and not have to mow the yard again or rake the leaves.
Or be gone for 6 months of the year.
Etc. Yeah, or create a lifestyle for yourself where you can stay in one, couple bedroom condo and then go down to Florida like a lot of them do for 6 months, etc., etc. Snowbirds. So it really comes down to what you want to do with the money. If you are cashing out, that's essentially, the advice I would say is, it is possible now, and I think you get a fairly good price. As we said, like regardless of how soft the market has been over the last year or so, we're still like the prices are still up.
Or pretty much the same.
Or pretty much the same.
Yeah, there wasn't any growth, but it's not like they plummeted.
I mean, what am I always saying, Jess? It can take 3, 6, 12 months for prices to really come down. It just takes like a week, 2 weeks for the prices to come back up.
Yeah, one good sale.
One good sale in the neighborhood, and all of a sudden we're back in business, baby. The old trick.
Yeah.
So, the other things to think about is, the legal planning, the positioning. Now, obviously, a lot of people have advice already, and they have over the years. If in case you don't, we did this fantastic podcast last time.
Shameless plug.
No, it's important. This is why I like to refer to things.
Yeah.
Because I can reference myself. And then when we make predictions and they come true, we can look like rock stars. Totally. But we did with our favorite lawyer, we did a legal planning podcast. Super, super, super important advice. Even for us, we learned a lot on that podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we're a bit younger, a little bit younger.
Yeah.
But positioning ourselves for the future, it's super, super important.
Yeah.
And, to do with estate planning as well, all those kinds of things. It's really important to understand all of that.
Yeah. But your advice at the end of the day is, if you don't need to sell it today, maybe just wait until spring.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, as predicted, bold prediction, Jess, spring's going to be crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't go out of my way to list that like today.
No. I would say you want to be on the market even early February. I would say let's look at the last 2 weeks of January.
Yeah.
If it's any indication, because we can look week to week.
Yeah.
And if it's any indication, we feel it.
See that momentum.
We feel it in the front office. We feel it in the managers.
Yeah.
When we're checking in every week, we have a couple of meetings and we're just checking in with people.
Yeah.
Feeling the market out, our own listings, our own buyers, how many calls we're receiving, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It really gives us an indication.
Yeah.
Of how things are moving.
Yeah.
And, as I said, generally, I've said it before, generally a lot of people like to do the same things at the same time. Because, it's easy to do things in packs, right, Jess? Is that what it is?
You feel more comfortable to do it because other people aren't doing it.
People aren't buying up. There's no way I'm going to buy.
Yeah, which doesn't always pan out for you, but...
Well, one of the best advice I've ever heard, apart from be lovely to your wife all the time and good things will happen, is Warren Buffett. And I think I've said it many times in this podcast, is when people are being greedy, be scared. And when people are being scared, be greedy.
Beautifully said.
That's it.
From one of the richest men in the world
That's
ever.
right. That's right. And as we heard from Jonathan, he knows a lot of rich people, deals with a lot of rich people. And what do they all have in common, Jess?
Real estate. Yeah.
Really, real estate.
Real estate.
Well,
Okay.
I mean, that's what we're all moving towards. We're going to help people. We're on our own journey of real estate, as we've made episodes about before, and you can always throw back to those iconic episodes at the start of, this season. Jess, I might start a new season next year.
A new season of real estate? Of
the podcast. Yeah, it might be season 2.
Oh, well, we've been,
I might end it off one more episode in December.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, all the good stuff.
Yeah.
And then do a rebrand in January. Just
okay.
Could happen. Redo the podcast.
Okay.
Make it fresh.
We can talk about this offline,
probably. Oh, we don't want to involve the listeners.
But look out for it.
Look out for it. Okay, so Jess, is there anything you want to end on?
No, I think we've covered all of the really important stuff. Obviously, if anything specifically comes to mind, then reach out to us and we can go through your situation specifically.
Yeah, Jero, I have a duplex in DuPont
That's nice.
for lease. Or, Jero, I have a piece of land in Simcoe County that I want to sell.
Yeah.
They're two
Completely
way different conversations.
100%. Yeah. So.
Jero, I have a houseboat on the island.
Oh.
Trying to sell it. That's actually a thing. Did you know that?
Yeah, I do know that.
That's wild.
Wrap it.
But really cool.
Like, keep it safe for the winter is my advice.
yeah, winterize it.
Winterize it.
I think most of them winterize. People live on them.
Yeah, for sure.
But I guess my point is that every conversation is going to be a little bit different.
Exactly.
Again, guys, Hickson Real Estate Team at gmail.com. Hit us up or keep hitting us up. People are always messaging us on all of our socials.
Yeah, we love it.
At Hickson Real Estate. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. What else, Jess? All of them.
That's it.
LinkedIn.
We'll catch you one more time before this beautiful year ends.
Yes, that's going to be a fun podcast. Maybe we'll have a couple of eggnogs for that one.
Or like a Bailey's coffee.
Maybe a Bailey's coffee. Delicious, delicious. Okay, guys, thanks for listening.
We'll
speak to you next time.
Bye.